Well, it's September 30. This is the day after the conclusion of the Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection. I have Elena Danaan with me and JP, and we're going to be talking about some of the things that happened at the conference, as well as JP's latest mission to Saturn, that Elena has some of her own information that clarifies exactly what happened there. So I want to thank you and welcome you both to the Exopolitics today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
You are listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
So why don't we start with you, Elena? You did a wonderful presentation on consciousness, and then there was a sky watching event. So you want to just kind of give people a thumbnail of what happened?
Yeah. So a few months ago, during the preparation of the conference, Danny Henderson had asked me if Thorhan, my contact in the Galactic Federation of World, who is a high commander and can organize flights and fleets, if he could get a few UFOs, spaceships above the conference site on a particular day at a particular hour in an hour gap. And that's going to be difficult, but there are flight modalities and schedules, so I'll ask anyway. And Thorhan said yes. So I said to Danny, yes, Thorhan accepts. So there will be scout ships from the Galactic Federation flying over the Westin Westminster Hotel. And so Danny promote this event, and I was a bit nervous because sometimes the atmospheric conditions can be bad or too much light and people cannot see the ships. So I was a bit nervous about this, but I have blind trust in Thorhan. So he was telling me, don't worry, everything, I organized everything. What did he organize? I learned on the night. On the night, at the precise time, we wait about 10 minutes, and suddenly scout ships in formation, V formation, passed over the site, and they were opening, flying away and coming back and doing figures. And this was amazing. They were bright, some were flashing, and people were very impressed. There was 1,000 witnesses. Thorhan couldn't get the scout ships below the NORAD surveillance zone, which you told me is 62 miles. So when Thorhan told me I cannot get the ships under a certain altitude, I understand it was because of the NORAD. So what he had prepared and organized is that he managed to get a ship from the Earth Alliance, US Navy, to fly below, and it was a TR-3B that flew over the tree line above our heads, and everyone could film it and see it. A TR-3B, 1,000 witnesses on a public event, signifying the collaboration between the Galactic Federation and the US Navy. Proving it that night. It was spectacular, and it is very meaningful for the disclosure plan, because TR-3Bs and scout ship from the Federation collaborating together, it is really showing what is going on. And it was for me also great corroboration, of the veracity of my work, and that I am not telling fantasies.
Well, yeah, I think that was a very important event that we saw. I mean, that flyover, first the flying triangle, and then the fleets of different craft weaving and moving amongst each other. I mean, I've seen others from South America call in UFO craft, but it's always been just one. This was a fleet. So, and you called it in advance, and you set up the skywatching event. And as you said, it does corroborate that you are in touch with extraterrestrials that not only can arrange to have their craft do a flyover, but also can coordinate it with Earth Alliance.
Yeah.
With like these flying triangles, they're not extraterrestrial craft; they are government craft.
Yes.
And so that was remarkable, truly. So, what do you say about that, JP?
Man, it was amazing. It was amazing how there is a lot of collaborations with different types of ETs and the government. The truth, it's about to be revealed. And it's beautiful that 1,000 people got to watch and witness that. And I was told, I wasn't necessarily in an event, but I was told that you're so calm and so confident. And people were so happy and people cried because they saw something that they never saw. Even people that were talking to me in the green room saying, oh, I never seen nothing like that. And that particular day, the next day, they came back to me and said, wow, that was a beautiful experience. That was a beautiful, amazing feeling that I felt when I saw these ships. And I believe that more of this is going to happen.
This is only the beginning. Yes, more of this is going to happen. Now, ships and TR3B triangle craft disclosed publicly on a public event with so many witnesses that says that the deep state is really losing power, losing grip on the disclosure.
And it's amazing that it's only 2 hours of a military, 1 hour and 20 minutes from a military base.
Yeah.
That we actually visited.
Yeah.
What was it? 2 days prior?
That's right. Yeah, Colorado Springs. We went to Cheyenne Mountain to see the Space Force Center there, and I think, Elena, you got a message from Thorhan saying that underneath Cheyenne Mountain, where we know there's a top secret military installation that's now part of Space Force, that the Galactic Federation also has a facility there. So you want to tell us what you were told by Thorhan and how that might be related to what we witnessed on the Saturday night of the GSIC event.
Yes, this TR3B probably came from the Cheyenne Mountain facility, because Thorhan had told me on the morning before we went to visit Cheyenne Mountain complex, he told me that deep down underground Cheyenne Mountain, there is a spaceport where the Galactic Federation of World has crafts together with Earth crafts. So I'm assuming triangular crafts, etc., because they have a program of cooperation there.
Well, that reminds me of what you described in 2023 in January, when Thorhan went to this mountain complex at Raven Rock.
Yes.
And there was a spaceport underneath. Again, you have a military base, a major continuity of government military base, and below it there's a spaceport.
Yes, and he sent me visuals at that time in January 2023 of the spaceport, and I did a quick sketch drawing that I sent you with TR3Bs, triangular crafts.
That's right. Okay.
Oh.
So it makes a lot of sense. So in my presentation, I talked about you visiting a major spaceport, and again there was a collaboration between the Earth Alliance and the Galactic Federation, or Nordics as you described them, and I talked about it being at this location in northern Alabama, and we kind of pinpointed that, or I speculated about the location being Green Mountain, because there was data saying that in the 1950s, the US Army Corps of Engineers was going to build a mini Pentagon there under Green Mountain, and then nothing ever was heard about it. And you have the nearby, in Huntsville, you had the Redstone Army Arsenal and NASA facilities, but that's in Huntsville. This Green Mountain has, according to that document, those newspaper stories from the 1950s, there's a spaceport there as well, and then you visited a spaceport.
Yeah.
So you want to say something about the spaceport you visited and what craft were there?
The spaceport that I visited was humongous. It was beautiful. I believe it could be in that area in Green Mountain, and I think we got others around the United States as well that it's active. There's some also spaceports that connects with the inner Earth civilization that has a connection, or opening. The same thing that has an opening for the upper Earth. There's a connection with the inner Earth, and they do a lot of collaboration on technology and bringing forth what is health technology and bringing stuff from our solar system into these ports. And I'm sure most of these bases have that technology that I was talking about. That is a beam of light that it turns like a holographic type of light that turns everything invisible that goes in between, that the ships they can enter and they can leave. That probably some volcanoes also have this type of technology. That's why you see a lot of UFO activity when the volcano is active, and it protects the ship with a certain kind of shield also. So it's so advanced technology that these spaceports have, and there's a lot of people from different nations working, and I'm sure other countries as well, like maybe Australia or Africa or Europe, Brazil, Mexico, Puerto Rico. I'm sure there's other spaceports out there that connects with everything that's happening.
Mhm. Well, I in my presentation, I presented a schematic of a deep underground military base for a mountain where you would have two entrances and a vertical shaft in the middle, presumably for air control, but according to what you saw, it was actually a shaft that would be used for the craft being able to go straight up without being detected using some kind of holographic shielding technology that you described. So there's documentation describing something along the lines of what you saw.
The opening, and also I think I showed you some papers about Project Horizon. They have a lot of similar projects also on the moon. I think it was back in
1950s.
1950. So that makes you understand that we do have these spaceports all over the place.
Now, that spaceport you visited in that area of northern Alabama that I speculate to be that particular facility there, Green Mountain. Did you see in the updates we did on that? We've done two updates. You saw flying saucer shaped craft. Did you see any TR-3Bs?
I did not see any TR-3Bs, but I'm sure they land there,
Okay.
and they do have their designated area in order to call out. I think it's a take turn kind of thing. Probably they rent it. They come down. It's the Nordic's turn, and then the Earth Alliance, and then it's their turn. They use it's a big place, Doc. And I'm sure that the TR-3Bs also land there, and other types of ships, not just the flying saucer ones. You got the small types that look like submarines, the so-called egg-shaped also UFO that people talk about and people see. So there's a lot of different types of ships that come in and out. But the ones I saw was the flying saucer ones when I went to the spaceport.
Okay, so let's now shift over to Saturn, the Saturn mission, and the information that you've recently regained through your memory. Now, the last time we met in France, we actually did a roundtable, and we talked about JP having a mission to Saturn that he may have been going to, that JP didn't remember it, but he was tested, and then he was told by his handler that he may have already been on the mission. So you want to just kind of recapitulate what happened and that we described in update number 35, what you remembered at that time and what you didn't remember.
So when I went to this location, it was quite close to the location where I put my hand and the colors changed to like greenish yellow. I started regaining memory, and then all I regained was I closed my eyes and I opened. I saw the rings of Saturn, and I could see another ship in front of me, and there was a third ship also farther away. And this ship, I remember the English, numbers and word. It had an X dash 4808, and then it had a Sumerian language that I found that it was really interesting. And throughout this mission, also there was a cigar-shaped type of UFO that was communicating in the Enki gap with our ships, the mining ships, and they were communicating with light. But the whole cigar-shaped ship was using like a bluish white color, and the whole ship lit up. In our side, the mining ship, we just had a big light that did like a type of Morse code and vibration and communicate. That's how we communicate in space. It's not like a laser, but it's like a light that sends like a vibration, and they send a vibration back, and with that vibration is a communication, because I know there's sometimes a barrier of languages and all that. So using this is like a universal type of language. Music is a type of universal language, and I know throughout the years this has been drip drops of how spaceships communicate with the military, with certain types of movies, using music. So it's amazing the technology that they have with vibration and light and what is communication. Because when everything vibrates, even your body, your soul, everything that is connected to the ship vibrates. And even you can see the particles when the communication was happening, you can see the particles moving. You can see the wave of the rings of Saturn coming towards the mining ship, and then the communication goes back, and you can see the waves of the particles of the rings going back to the ship. And it was a royalty ship. That's what we saw in between the gap of Enki gap, and it was protecting the moon Pan and the moon Deathmas, and it was in between. And I know the moon Pan and moon Deathmas, they're actually dormant ships that they're protecting because of their technology that they have is so advanced. And the ship Pan, I'm gonna call it a ship now, is the one creating the Enki gap. So it's shepherding the elements, creating the Enki gap. So if people do research on that, it's amazing. And I found out also that there's a crater also on the moon that is called the Enki crater, and it's actually if you measure the interior part of that crater, it's actually the same probably size of Pan. So
Elena, so what do you have to say to these memories that JP's recalled after going back to the base, and he discovers that he has been to Saturn after all?
So much. So much. Just not to forget the cigar shape. You said it's a royal kind of ship. That's it.
it was royalty, and it was like probably like almost guiding the mining ships of where to go and where not to go.
Yes.
Because there's locations that I don't think that we were allowed still to just go because of how, I don't know, if you go to like a temple or you go to a certain location that you're not allowed to go. There's a protection of it. So it's just, I guess, the vibration not to bother the ships that are dormant.
Yeah, so because Ea, who is on the Nibiru ship in our solar system, told me, and I told that only to Dr. Salla a few days ago, that he would go for a mission diplomatic mission soon, and he would go on board a cigar-shaped ship that would carry him as a royalty, of course, to this location and back. So that's very interesting. Well, the communication you describe is totally communication that these highly advanced civilizations use. The light or the sound is a carrier wave on which information, coded information, is going to travel. So it makes a lot of sense, and I'm familiar with that. It's great, it's incredible. In January 2024, I had this information that Ea, or Enki, was allowing Earth Alliance, so Earth military, scientists, engineers, topographers, and exoarchaeologists to come to Titan and settle there. It's a big base. Titan is a bit like Ganymede. There's a lot of people there, moon of Saturn, and Ea, because he gave back the custody of Saturn that was before an Anunnaki possession to the Earth Alliance in, I think it was December 2023, I don't remember exactly. Now Saturn is ready for exploration. So, because Ea and his team, they know the location where all the interesting stuff are on Saturn and around. They have put at disposal of the Earth Alliance Anunnaki shuttles to bring the scientists and the military to these locations on Saturn and outside in the rings. I didn't know about the rings, but to me it makes sense now, because what are they going to study, these scientists? As I said in January 2024, rocks. Rocks that have special abilities. They are anti-gravitic. They have mass cancellation. And there are entire cities, ancient cities, built with these rocks on Saturn in the upper atmosphere. But it makes sense also that some moons have it as well, like you described, Pan and the other moon.
Definitely.
Yes, it makes so much sense. And these, so that's for the moment what I can say.
What about the craft that JP witnessed? He could see that kind of mining ship, and he drew a sketch of it, and we showed that. I shared that with you, and you had a strong reaction to that, and then you came up with a more artistic representation of this. So you want to tell us,
Yes.
what happened when you saw that sketch that JP made of the or of the mining craft that he was in?
So I knew that the Anunnaki Enki's team was offering some shuttles from the Nibiru mothership to the Earth Alliance in a collaboration program of exploration of Saturn. And so when I saw your drawing, Michael showed me, I went, oh, that's written. You had two numbers written in letters and numbers in English. That was Earth Alliance matrical of the ship, and something in Sumerian, actually cuneiform writing. And I went, oh no, it's written Ea, and Ea with another, that's Ea 1, that's number 1. And Ea 1 is also a matrical for the Nibiru ship. Wow. Because the Nibiru is his ship, his baby. He created it, he's the captain of it. And I went, that's the collaboration program. That's one of these shuttles, but it was a mining craft, a bigger one. So that was very interesting. So you said you were told what these letters meant, and it's interesting.
Yeah, I was told that it meant Ra. R-A.
Yes, so Ra means High Commander or Supreme Ruler, and that's a title Ea has regarding the Nibiru, is the Ra of the Nibiru. So that makes sense.
Wow, it's amazing. When I drew that picture and you showed me that picture, Doc, that Elena did, my jaw dropped. I'm like, how the heck does Elena Danaan knows how this particular ship looks like. Like that's exactly how I saw it when I looked out the window. And exactly where the rings were too. I'm like, no, she's spying on me. So really collaborated to me enough that she's connected with these extraterrestrials. I'm more with the military side of it, so that's the whole good thing about this. That
Yeah.
I'm like here in the military side, and you're like in the ET side, and there's a collaboration that is unbelievable. And I just go there because they tell me to go there, and I see these things, and I report it to you because I get the green light. But she can report it anytime she wants. That's good for her. I'm really happy for her. But now that I'm out, it's going to be a lot of things changing. And I'm probably going to be offered to go to the Navy. So I have been, like, people have talked to me about that. So I'm just waiting for the offer. Depending on the offer, I probably will probably still stay anonymous. But I got something that if I don't receive an offer in a certain time, probably by next year or in 2 years, I'll probably take off the helmet. So that'll be also kind of fun and cool to do that, because then I'll be really free and people can see my facial expressions on stage. I had a beautiful experience on stage. I'm sorry I could not make it for the Skywatch because, a day prior, being your first day, you have to have your mind set up, and what to say, what to talk. But this mission in Saturn, it was something that I would never forget. It was similar to when I went to the moon of Jupiter. And I started remembering also the way back, that maybe later on we can get into that update. And the way back, I can tell you a little bit now.
Oh, okay. Well, before you're telling us about returning back, I thought it would be good if you just describe first the size of the mining ship, and also what was inside in terms of the layout and the technology.
Oh, yes.
I think in the last interview that we did, I gave more details, but I can give you more details now that I remember.
Oh, that's right. The update. We just did an update, and that's just come out, and so people have probably seen that update where you described the details of the interior. So yeah. So maybe.
Well, there was another area that I did not talk about in that ship. That it was in the top part of the ship. There was a ring, right? That you enter into this ring. You're floating. You enter to this ring, right? And you sit yourself and you buckle up, right? And this ring has different types of gravitational. Gravitational. It has the gravity of maybe Titan. It also has the gravity of Mars. It has the gravity of the Moon or the gravity of Earth. So depending where you're from, you can put on this ring, and it goes around really fast, and it creates a gravity, and you feel the gravity. Like, it goes really fast. I don't know how many Machs it goes, but it goes really fast, and you feel the gravity. And it's a workout place. You can work out because you lose bone density and muscle in space. So that was really interesting for me, because I remember going there maybe 2 or 3 times and working out. And I remember seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 seats that goes around. But in the other side, there was also 9 seats. So I remember working with 2 or 3 people on my location on the ship. But in that room, you can see more different people doing the same thing, going around and all that. And it's cool because you don't feel dizzy. I think the not having gravity doesn't make you feel dizzy or nothing like that. So there's a screen that pops up, and you can just do your exercise and move your arms. And also the uniform that we were wearing also have like electrical connections inside the suits that works out your muscles and works out every part of your muscles to not lose also muscle in space. So you got the gravity ring to not lose bone density, and then you got the suit that helps you move your muscles, and it's electrical pulses that move your muscles and moves everything, even the muscles of your hands, the muscle of your back, buttocks, legs, ankles, and I remember when the ships were communicating, you could feel it also. The whole suit, you could feel it, the vibration of the suit, and it was giving like a energy to the suit, and you could feel telepathically what the other ship was saying. So everybody felt and the communication at the same time, and also the ship itself. It's like a consciousness. So whatever vibration it receives, it also like you receive it.
So this ship, I mean, was it a Earth-developed ship, or was it an extraterrestrial ship handed over to the Earth Alliance?
The technology that I saw there was immense. I don't think the Earth Alliance has. It was a mixture of collaboration, this type of ship, given probably from ETs, and we just added human technology into it just for us to feel comfortable and to work the ship a little bit better than how ETs work it. So that's why in every room we had an English and Sumerian language. So I'm sure we had other ETs on the ship also that was working in collaboration with us in this beautiful, beautiful, magnificent ship. If you look at the picture, I don't know if you're going to show it in this interview. If you look at the picture and you look at the little windows on top and bottom, it's 6 by 6, each little square. So that can tell you how big and how huge this mining ship was. And then where you see the big opening, that's actually the front part of the ship. That's where the elements go in and they separate what is a water element, what is gold, and other types of rocks that maybe they can use to build cities, and they separate in this particular ship. And the elements of water, they're so pure and so magnificent how they separate the oxygen and water, and they keep it in the area of the ship, like to do longer missions. So it's amazing, Doc, the things that we have, and that soon the James Webb Telescope is gonna just show the whole world, I guess.
Okay, well, Elena, do you want to respond to that? I mean, because I know you have a bit of information about those ships, those mining ships.
Yes. So I was very compelled when you talk about the difference of gravity, because when I'm traveling on board Anakim or Anunnaki shuttles, the gravity is different. That's the only ships I've been in different models of extraterrestrial ships, but these ones are different. Although they're more advanced than the Galactic Federation of Worlds, Thoran's scout ship, for instance, they have different way of working. They don't use torsion fields. So I was like impressed. How can you not use torsion fields? They don't. They have another technology. It's different. So then the gravity in the ship is different. And that's the only ships where I had to put seat belts when the ship, the engine switched on, because then,
you go back.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you feel there's no stabilizer, so you don't feel the G-forces, but you feel it.
You stay in the same location, the ship moves.
Yeah.
You're like,
So, but the ship does that, and you move. That's like wow. And I know that if I hadn't the seat belts, it's pretty like a bit rubber, but rubber tubes or something that goes like this. If I hadn't them, I would float over the seat. So I went, wow, that's fabulous.
and we do have like Velcro and magnets and all that helps, and other technology that there's switches with electrical magnetic that you could put your maybe water, or it's you can see different I don't know if you saw this, like it was like glass technology that can tell you where you're at, and it's like a transition glass. I don't know if you ever heard about transition glass when you outside and the sun hits it and it turns darker. So it's that type of technology, but it's like a holographic.
That on board the small individual shuttles, that's the front screen that is like this and changes. If you pass near a very bright source of light, it will go a bit darker, and you have all the holographic commands. Exactly.
And it's kind of like funny how all these technologies coming out right now. For people, Mark Zuckerberg actually came out with a technology that is like, it looks like glasses, and the glasses gives out these lights, and you can see a holographic. I'll send it to you. It just came out, and I know most of the elites around the world are giving these technologies. I don't know how much is the role of how to release these technologies, like Elon Musk. If Trump does win the presidency, he's going to be part of the administration, and he's going to help out also bringing forward more technology. So depending who wins, Kamala Harris also, I heard that there's a certain technology that was going to be given out if she wins. So, but I stay away from politics, but everybody, you know who we want to win and who we want to take charge, and that's going to be something that is going to also affect how we're going to receive technology, and also affect the system of how we're going to buy things also, and the system of medical, how the medical system is going to come out depending on who becomes president of the United States of America. That's going to be a big deal.
Well, I know with this update that was just released, update number 38, total recall of Saturn, you described, and you already did, like that suit that would have some kind of mechanism that it would excite the muscles in different parts of the body, so you don't get the muscle atrophy and all of that happening. And one of the commentators, on my Patreon channel, actually said that technology is already being released, that it's open source, that there's suits available where it will actually do that, stimulate certain parts of the body through some kind of electrical stimulation to get the muscles working, which is ideal for weightlessness or space travel.
Yeah. So that new suit, I think X is developing that. I think the astronauts that just came out and did a spacewalk, I think that suit also has probably that technology.
Wow.
And a lighting technology also that helps the blood. I think it's a lighting inside the suit. It's like a light, that laser light that goes into your skin and helps the bloodstream also. Something with infection or something like that. So there's a lot of things coming out, Doc, that is gonna be awesome. It's gonna be amazing. If you thought the internet was cool, the things that are going to come out is going to be overwhelming. And like I said in the conference, don't fall behind. There's going to be technology. It's going to be hard, but get on it and start learning it. And I know we've been waiting for a long time for med beds. We've been waiting a long time for people to come out and all that. But now it's going to be, it's coming, and we have to be ready and to help the public that don't want to accept it. We have to help them, and push them and tell them that yes, this is going to happen, and that we are together, the military, ETs, and yeah.
Anything you want to add to that, Elena?
Yeah, so We Are Together was shown at the J6 Skywatch with the collaboration between the Navy and the Federation. With this the TR-3B and the Skyships. What I love is to hear JP talking about the technology he experiences, which are the latest advanced technologies from the Earth Alliance, made on Earth, and these technologies are already available to the Army of the Earth Alliance, the Space Force, etc. And we know what's going to be released in the public. And I experienced on the ET side, and we have conversations sometimes, which I love, where we compare the technologies, and it's we're both like, wow, oh, that's cool. You know?
There's a thing that I also experimented in the military. It's like a type of eye drop that makes you see different spectrum of light colors that probably other species of animals on Earth see that we can't see. So this particular of eye drop, I don't know if it's nanotechnology or what type of liquid it is, but it makes you see different spectrums of light. And also probably, this is hard to say, but probably the spiritual realm as well. Other entities that live among us that we can't see. And this is really interesting because if we have that technology, we can communicate with other entities that probably live among us.
You know what I think it is about? It is about other densities. It is living in other densities that our 3D eyes cannot see.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Could be.
That's amazing. So probably this technology is going to come out soon, and it's going to open even more spirituality, and people are going to know, like, wow. I don't know if you ever saw a car, right? And you see these screens on a car, and the car is driving at night, and you see these human figures walking on the side, and then you open your window, you're like, there's nobody there, but you still see the stick figures in front of the cars because the car is using that particular of lighting laser technology that you can see things that we can't see. So that's going to be interesting with these kind of eye drops that we also use in space.
Yeah. So it sounds as though there's a process at work here where rather than doing a kind of disclosure of all of these classified technologies that the legacy corporations have developed for the secret space programs over decades, that the kind of brakes are being pulled off, and now inventors and scientists are just able to kind of like recreate the wheel in a way and start releasing this stuff without it being suppressed as it's been done in decades past.
Example like David Adair, he keeps bringing it back, but it's because they stop him so many times, because those technologies, they don't want those technologies to come out. But I think there's going to be a big white hat movement that is going to release a lot of things, and that's going to be interesting for a lot of people.
Definitely. So you said that you remembered more now about your trip back from that Saturn mission. So you want to tell us what you remembered more now?
The only thing I remember is passing Jupiter, coming back from Saturn. We passed Jupiter, but we could see Jupiter the size of how you see our moon right now. If you go outside and you see the moon, that's the size we saw Jupiter, and we passed it. And we went through the asteroid belts, but the asteroids are not as close as people think. They're more spread out, and there's a path that is open, and we know where different types of asteroid or structures are in this asteroid belt are. And I remember I could see Mars, how astronauts would see Earth from the moon, that size. And I remember seeing the atmosphere of Mars, and then we did a transition to another ship from Mars and left these particular ships that are mining in that vicinity. And it's like a shuttle. They're also like shuttles. They go back and forth and pick up other people, and they keep working, and I think bring the elements to Mars and help that colony, the people there at Mars, to develop more different types of technology with the rocks that they bring from over there. And I'm sure they go to Venus as well. And I know because Venus has like a type of Goldilocks zone in their atmosphere that is in between the clouds, that also they can probably use that floating rock technology. And you have people also working in Venus as well. And from Mars, we get on this other shuttle type of ship, way smaller. It looks like a small type of submarine type of ship. And it takes us really fast back to the moon. And from the moon, we get on the TR-3Bs and I guess back to Earth. But I don't remember as much. I only remember coming back from Saturn, seeing Jupiter, and seeing Mars transitioning to another ship, leaving the mining ships there, and transitioning to another type of like TR 3B looking ship to go back to Earth. But I don't remember the entrance of when I came back to Earth and all that, and don't remember the time frame. I remember seeing darkness and lightness from the east and west side. So I don't know what time. I have to do research on what time that could be when we were entering back to the location where I live and where we come out.
So that was sometime in September.
Yeah.
You want to respond to any of that, Elena?
In the information I got in January 2024, I was told that the rocks that were taken from Saturn were studied on Titan and then would be brought back to Earth to be implemented in technologies. So, and you are mentioning the rocks being brought back to a Mars facility. It totally makes sense to me because on Earth it's still dangerous to get these technologies because the deep state has still a little bit of influence. On Mars is the best place because Mars is Earth Alliance, and there is on Mars a collaboration between the Earth Alliance and the ETs. I know Thoran's younger brother, Jenhan, works on Mars.
Oh, wow.
In facilities that are in collaboration with Earth Alliance engineers. They are terraforming Mars.
Oh.
So to me, it makes sense that the rocks are not brought back to Earth directly, but to Mars. It's perfectly logical to me. Yeah.
Nice.
Wonderful. Okay, so I want to shift now to another topic that we discussed during the GSIC event or up to the GSIC event, and that is the crystal jewels that animate the space arks, and how these can be the repository or storage device for the organic consciousness for the space ark. Now, you talked about that, so you want to tell us how that process works with these organic consciousness of space arks or of the Cedar ships.
Yes, so the Cedar ships from the Intergalactic Confederation have a very highly advanced technology that doesn't use AI as a power drive or a navigation system, but they use organic consciousness with living beings that are consciousness that are incarnated into plasma. So they float in space. Sometimes they are in organic bodies, not plasma, who also float in space, like David Adair went to see me after my talk, and he said, "What you spoke about the organic consciousness of beings floating in space, it's exactly Pitholum. She's like this," and he was very impressed. And these organic consciousness can embed into a ship as they would incarnate into a biological body. They can incarnate into a ship. So the Cedars use a lot of this interface, the collaboration between physical ship and organic consciousness for their arcs, and all the arcs have that. But how does an organic space consciousness anchors into a ship, a physical construct? It's because of a pulse. It's like a soul incarnates into a human body. You need a heartbeat, you need a pulse to anchor a consciousness into something. And a pulse can be generated, that's the easiest for them, the Cedars, in a crystal, a quartz crystal. So the quartz crystal will be activated by scalar waves, gravity waves, and the vortex of the crystal will be open. It will generate a frequency that has a pulse, and then the organic plasmic consciousness will be able to embed the crystal, and like the heart, like a human soul will anchor into the heart.
Wow.
They will incarnate into the heart of the ship, the crystal, the quartz crystal, to remove this crystal from a ship is removing the core consciousness from it, and then the ship is dead. Nothing works. You may have the right DNA, it doesn't matter. It doesn't work. The core consciousness has gone. So these crystals inside of the arcs are extremely important.
So, JP, you actually were involved. You've been on 6 missions to the Atlantic Space Site,
Yes.
and 2 of those missions involved first the extraction and then the return of this crystal and the consciousness inhabiting it. So, you want to tell us
This kind of
about
makes
that?
me almost cry.
Oh,
You know why? Because if these crystals really hold like a consciousness, right? When we hold these crystals, we all started crying and holding it. And we felt like a beautiful vibration on these crystals. And everybody was just holding it and crying with these crystals, right? But I think the sadness that we felt is that these crystals' consciousness was stuck there, for so many years. And I think one of the reasons the Nordics and the Earth Alliance took this crystal out is for this crystal to feel the air of Earth, or to feel what is the vibration of Mother Earth and all that. And the reason why we brought this crystal back, and it got more activated, and it activated the arcs more. But the reason I think we felt the sadness is because they do have a consciousness, and they wanted to feel what was Earth. So they brought it, I don't know, to like a certain location. And I guess the crystal felt the love, and they just reactivated it, and then they brought it back to the ship. And that's when the ship reactivated in a beautiful way that we could see different colors on the ships and all that. So that kind of makes sense about the consciousness, and how probably sad that consciousness was being there so long under the ocean and not having contact with nothing.
That's very similar to what David Adair described with Pithalam. That Pithalam, he says, was in the engine of what was once a very large spacecraft that had crashed on Earth 100 million years ago. And it was just stayed there until it was rediscovered by, I guess, the Secret Space Program or the Earth military, and they took it to Area 51 for study, and David Adair was involved in that. But 100 million years is a long time for that organic consciousness to just be there.
Yeah.
So
imagine the sadness. Like,
Mhm.
oh, we're stuck here. It's like being stuck in a hotel room and not coming out for 100 million years. And coming out, you're just like, whoa, wow.
well, they experience time differently than us,
Yeah.
It's not that long for them, but it's frustrating, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I had a very beautiful experience with David Adair. We had the opportunity to meet and speak a lot, and speak about Pithalam. And I remember...
I saw a light.
Yes, I was about to say that. Yes, she showed herself to you. He said, "Oh, Pithalam likes you," and then I turned and spoke to someone else.
Mhm.
I turned back to him, and he's in his chair.
Mhm.
And when I turned back to look at David Adair again, what I saw between him and I was a blob of light, blue, gold, and purple, moving like, wow. There's sometimes when I saw the 9, it was like protozoa shape. And I saw this between David and I, and it was like, I knew it was like a small portion of it, but it was bigger, but it showed itself, and I went, wow! And he said, what? I said, I just saw this. He said, oh, that's Pithalam. That's her colors. She showed herself to you. And I went, wow! I never saw one for the first time.
And you know what's so interesting?
So, take that.
When we went to Pikes Peak,
Bike speak, yeah.
and you took that picture.
Bike speak.
And you took that picture, and in your picture you saw a beautiful ball of light
Yeah,
on the left side of your shoulder.
yeah.
That was amazing. That's amazing how Elena Danaan, Doc, she gets these contacts.
Right. Well, this is where we get into something that is really amazing. You handled that space jewel a couple of times now, both in extraction and return, Expressa. But there was an incident that was described in book 2 of the Osami Insider series where you remember being inside of an oval-shaped craft, going to a distant world and carrying a jewel and giving it to a kind of princess-like figure, and that jewel was very, very valuable.
Mm-hmm.
So now, that jewel, could that have been the Ark jewel that contained the organic consciousness of the Atlantic space Ark?
It could be the phase out and phase in of these crystals, because it's more than one crystals. I'm not going to say it's necessarily the Atlantic space arc, but it could be, yes, it could be the Atlantic space arc jewel that I was bringing in, and I got from this royalty of a person that I connected with in this particular X-shaped ship. And it was a beautiful world. I talked about this because I remember Lovett picking me up in these types of ship too. He had like a royalty white type of uniform. And I remember going to this particular planet and picking up like a crystal from a female princess or like a royalty.
Weren't you returning it? And maybe this is where you come in, Elena, in terms of like the fall of Atlantis and handing off that jewel off to someone, to JP.
I'm emotional. Yes, we have memories that complete each other. And as every time we have memories, either JP or either me, we spoke directly to you first, then you act like the record keeper, and then you can trace. But anyway, so I had these memories, and at the fall of Atlantis, yes, I was royalty. And when you told me this memory, I asked you to describe me, and you described me accurately. And I stayed behind. I didn't want to take the last fleets of ships to evacuate. And Lil had sent a meteorite in the polar ice cap and northern ice cap, and this tsunami was going to hit us. So I stayed behind because I didn't have time. I wanted to deactivate the Ark. Because the city of Atla, the capital, was built on an ark. And the ark was about to sink in the ocean, and everything would be destroyed. But before the ark sinks, it was very important to remove the crystal. So I went in, I removed the crystal, and then it was too late when I came back to the surface. And I knew a soldier that has a certain grade, like a high grade in the Atlantean protection. It was like a special guard protection, and there were these egg-shaped shifts that were one man only, and it worked with DNA of one pilot. Only one could get in, and the pilot, and it was very tight. And so I gave this man that I knew as a friend or family, I don't remember, but I knew him closely. I entrusted this person with that crystal. It was like this. And I said, bring it to Altea in the Altean galaxy on the planet Emeria, and I will meet you there, because it was an Altean ark. The Alteans are the Cedars. And that was my original planet. And I was going to die and go back. My soul, my consciousness was going to be projected back there in a body in stasis I had there. That was a copy of this one. So, and I remember then the next day, I was standing in a field with high grass, and I knew this person was coming in that egg-shaped shuttle, and that person had traveled a long time through the stars.
Yeah.
And the galaxy is so long to arrive there, that mission with the crystal. with him in that pod.
Mhm.
And he arrived and he landed in this field and he gave this to me, and there were officials behind, and we went to put this crystal back into a safe place. But something I know, I don't have yet the memory of it, but I know it. This crystal was brought back at one point to Earth, to this ark. I don't know why and I don't know when. These are my memories, and I know it was you.
Wow. Wow.
So that means, if Elena's memories are accurate, that means that your handling of the Atlantic space ark, that actually happened 12, 13,000 years earlier, that you had been in a similar, or you were playing that role that Elena described as a senior officer in the Atlantean military, and that you were given the responsibility for taking that jewel that animated the Atlantic space ark, that actually was the foundation for the Atlantean capital,
Yes.
Atla, that you were given that responsibility in that X-shaped shift, and you took it all the way to the Altean homeworld, where you met Elena, who had now, after having died in Atlantis, had immediately transferred her consciousness back to Altea, who then met you as you returned. How does that feel? How does that sound?
The only memories I have is coming out from the egg-shaped ship and receiving this type of crystal. And I also have memories of different times in Earth, like the 1940s. I have memories of being that. I have music that activates me and activates certain memories as well. But I felt it was really the way I was dressed was like ancient, really ancient, like knight style of how I was dressed when I met this female in this location. I did not see her face. I had to, if it was you, no disrespect, but I did not see who it was. I had my head bowed down, and it was like a royalty. It was like a disrespect of looking straight to her face. But I knew where she was at because I could see from her neck down, and I could see the jewelry, and I could see the beautiful dress that she was wearing, and all that. But because of respect, we were not allowed to see the face. That's what I remember, and I remember a different language. It wasn't English. It was a beautiful type of Latin, or mixed in with ancient Greek and Arabic. It was like a mixture of a beautiful language that I remember, and I understood. Like, yeah, like take care of this crystal and protect it with your life. So I remember going back into the ship, man, and that's it. That's all I remember about that.
So in kind of bringing it to a close, anything you want to say about either the Saturn mission or the Ark consciousness and the crystal before we start wrapping it up, Elena?
Well, I think disclosure has started, and all these technologies that will be given from the Arks are about to come out. As the deep state loses power and proves it every day by things happening, we are soon to be given share these technologies, and it's going to propel humanity very fast. When it starts, it's going to go very fast. So we are heading towards something amazing, beautiful, and it's really soon.
Great. And with you, JP, I know you've just retired from the army. You were given an honourable discharge, virtually a full retirement package, and now you're in this period where you're still maintaining anonymity because you believe you're going to go. You may be offered a position with another service, and you're going to contemplate that.
Yeah. So I'm just waiting a certain time until I receive that. If not, I'm just gonna stay how I am
Mhm.
and keep working for the truth and humanity in bringing out more information that I had. Because throughout my service, I know I've been through other missions that I know I'm going to remember, and certain parts are going to be activated. So, and the collaboration with you, Elena, is amazing. It's like a, how can I put this? Like a sandwich. It's amazing, the collaboration. It's like coffee and milk. It's amazing. Like if you put it in perspective, and I really appreciate you for having these contacts and bringing people to the truth and like seeing what they saw. 1,000 people. That was amazing. Now you're 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 the truth. So that's amazing.
Gonna crawl.
It's amazing when all these thousands of people are posting these ships that you summoned. It's amazing to do that. I don't see a lot of people that can do that now. Uh, I've been to these ports and I saw these ships. I know how they look like inside. So having another person involved in that experience is amazing. Doc, it's amazing.
Well, I know you served with the US Army. You were sent on covert missions that were associated with the Air Force's secret space program, sometimes working with Space Command. And you've also had a little bit of work with the US Navy related to some of these issues.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be doing a webinar on October 19, and you're going to be a part of that. We're going to be talking about the US Navy's secret space program and the return of a more enlightened faction of the Navy, which apparently is playing a big role behind the scenes. And I already have Alex Collier is going to be a part of that. And so, yeah, the Navy, I mean, do you see that as really the kind of key for the future?
Yeah, because when you mix in water and space and the technology of these ships that are in space right now, they have a new technology, a new drone that just came out. It's called the Manta, and all the nations like, oh my God, where does this technology come from? But it's I think the Navy does have a big role because they also use people from the Army, Marines, and Space Force and the Air Force, but the Navy, when I was working in a certain location that we will say in this webinar, I saw a lot of things that will probably collaborate on what Alex is going to bring.
And George Cavassalis too, I mentioned that he also he has some new information about this group of returning Navy admirals that are playing a big role behind the scenes. So you wanted to say something, Elena, about
Yes,
that?
I would like to remind to you, JP, this wonderful walk we had on Daytona Beach with Dr. Salla in 2022, where we pointed out where Atlantis was, the space ark. That day, I had a message from Thoran to you, and I don't know if you remember, and I told you Thoran is telling you that one day you will get an offer from the US Navy, and if you accept, you will get to work with him.
Or I already did.
Or you already did.
So that's how these maybe we can get more on how memory works and consciousness and how we also have the technology to block these memories. So I want also people to understand that this technology exists. The blocking of the memory, the drip drop of Men in Black, of blocking these memories with a type of strobing light and vibration, and it blocks a part of your brain that locks a memory. But there's certain vibration that can reactivate, or a location on Earth that can reactivate these memories, and you can get it back in a certain time that this information needs to come out. So it's like how a flower blooms, or when a tree gives the fruit, you know, that's how memory is. When it's time to bloom and give the fruit and give the information, that's when it blows. And whoever's handling that, whoever's in charge of unblocking the memories and giving the memories back, I think we have a part of the government that is in charge of that the white hats are involved with. And I'm sure the black hats have their part of doing that, but I think the white hats, they have like these, it's like a different section of the government that they're in charge of unblocking and blocking memory. I don't know the name of this particular portion of who controls that, but I know there's probably a room with like 30,000 screens with people that has unblocked memories and memories that they can just out of nowhere unblock a memory, or remember something that happened in the past, to just help activate and to bring more technology and to bring more information to the public of what's happening in this closure. So I know this activation with Saturn was for a reason. And I just, I received that memory back. It just activated. And I know Tony Rodriguez talks about that too. Out of nowhere, you get these memories.
Wonderful. Okay, well, I want to thank you both for a really stimulating and informative interview or roundtable on Saturn and the space arcs and what lies ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. When more people see these ships flying around, not just 1,000, but nationwide, worldwide, and they see these massive ships, not only TR-3Bs, but massive ships. Have you seen the movie Independence Day?
Oh, yes.
Massive ships, and people are going to be going on the buildings and holding signs and, hey, I want to be with you, just like Independence Day. And the black hats, we have to be careful because they might use that for a fake alien invasion type of deal.
Yeah.
So we just have to really keep an eye on that and make sure that we don't go that route, because these beings are here to help us and to show us what is beautiful love.
Yes.
Well, thank you both. And for those of you that are watching this roundtable discussion, if you want to learn more about this webinar that's coming up on October 19, focusing on the US Navy Secret Space Program and the return of the Jedi Admirals, then just go to exopolitics.org and you can find out about that October 19 event. So thank you for watching, and aloha.
You have been listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Join or start a conversation in the comments. Take the time to explore the vast library of best-selling books, webinars, and podcasts by Dr. Salla. Visit exopoliticstoday.com.